What's up everyone, my name's PlatinumHowler. Today I'm bringing you my week 7 upload for the APA Academy, but a little change of pace this time. We skipped the team builder and I'm actually going to cover some transactions that I made at the transaction deadline first before we get into the week 7 match that we played. So obviously the team has been doing extremely well up to this point in the season. But I do feel like I did have some dead weight on my team that I wanted to get rid of. The main thing that I was looking to pick up via free agency would be additional physical bulk. I feel like my offense is fantastic, but I don't have a ton of things that I can switch in to soak up some hits. That was basically my focus of these transactions. So, and I also the focus was to get rid of Togetic. Like, Togetic does absolutely nothing for this team. It serves this team in no way whatsoever, so it's got to go. Anything that I can replace Togetic with, I will be happy with, because anything will be more likely, anything else will be more likely to come to a game than Togetic will. So we're gonna say goodbye to Togetic, and in its place we are going to pick up Dubwool, which is another normal type with Drampa and Heliolisk. That makes it 3 normal type for this team. But Dubwool, I think, is a really cool addition because it just gives me so much more physical bulk because of its fluffy ability, having the damage it takes from contact moves. So it does make the fire weakness on the team a lot worse because fire moves are dealing. It's essentially weak to fire. So I'm getting rid of probably a much better check to opposing fire types because I can, like, Togetic could have soaked up hits and then it actually gets Morning Sun. So if my Sun were up, then it would be recovering a lot more HP. But yeah, Togetic's not ever coming to a game, so we have Dubwool instead for the physical bulk. And I also like that it has base 88 speed. It helps make this team. I want this team to be fast. Like, if I can gain speed in any way for this team, then that would be great. This team is very offensive, so I want it to have a high average base speed stat. You know, besides Torkoal. Torkoal's going to be on the team a lot of weeks, and that's going to bring the average speed stat down, but everything else I want to have a very decent speed stat if I can. Now, another mon that we're going to get rid of is Drampa. I really liked Drampa at first when I drafted it, but just in practice and in building, it just didn't work out for me. I brought it last week, and I was a little bit disappointed with how it performed, and I think that I can switch it out for a different tier 5 that can improve the team more than, help the team out more than Drampa can. So we are also going to say goodbye to Drampa, and in its place we are going to pick up a water type from tier 5, Wishy-Washy. Can I put the schooled form on? Wishy-Washy school form, yeah, okay, there you go, that's a better photo for it. So Wishy-Washy is overall bulkier than Drampa. Like, look at its massive base defenses, very low base HP, but if you put 252 in that every week, then it can still take the hits that you need it to. So it can take hits from both the physical side, and the special side. It can run, especially if it runs like an assault vest, it can be pretty bulky. So with Drampa, we're giving up reliable recovery because it gets Roost. But with Wishy-Washy, we pick up a slow pivot because it can come in, take a hit, and U-turn out into one of my offensive weapons that can just deal massive damage to my opponent's team. So Wishy-Washy can just come in and be bulky, eat a hit or two, and U-turn out into something else. Drampa can't do that. It can stay in and click Roost, but it can invite the opponent in to bring in something that can deal with Drampa extremely well while I'm just sitting there clicking Roost. So I'm excited to have Wishy-Washy on the team. I'm excited to see what it can do if I can manage to fit it onto a team 1 week. The other thing I should mention about Dubwool is Dubwool also is a pivoting option because it gets Baton Pass. Not as great as U-Turn on Wishy-Washy, but Baton Pass is still good. It can come in, eat a hit, Baton Pass out into something else. Although Wishy-Washy is probably a better pivoting option because most times it's going to be slower than everything else it's going up against. Now, I'm showing Copperaja here because there is another move that I wish I had taken more into consideration, and that would have involved dropping Copperaja in favor of Duraludon, which was actually still free, regular Duraludon out of tier 2. So I would have been dropping Copperaja for Duraludon, which is 20 more points, and then what I would have done is drop Togetic for Wishy-Washy, and I would have, these are the two mons that I would have ended up with instead of these two mons. But I actually ended up holding on to Copperaja. And Copperaja, it's only come to one game, but in the one game that it did come to, I feel like it did a good job. There was a potential trade option for me with Manoche to send him Copperaja and pick up a Scavalier. The benefit of that would have been that Scavalier is not weak to ground, but I just didn't want to deal with the 4 times fire weakness, especially on this team with me having Sun and whatnot, and it also is just slower. Like Copperaja, I can run speed investment on it and still outspeed things like I did in the week 5 matchup against Flame Horizon. Escavalier can't really do that. I'd also be giving up a potential Stealth Rock option with Copperaja, so I decided to keep it around. The benefit of having Duraludon is that I keep the Stealth Rock option, and I gain more team speed because I get a base 85 speed mon. But I ended up holding on to Copperaja. I feel like this is a better bulkier option. Like it can potentially take hits that I need it to, like on the special side, for example. Duraludon, as you can see, is not taking any hits on the special side, so this right here is probably better for our overall bulk. Yeah, so these are the 2 new mons that we have. Goodbye Togetic, hello to Dubwool, and goodbye Drampa, hello to Wishy-Washy. So it is also important to note that by getting rid of Togetic and Drampa, I got rid of both of my defoggers. So now my only hazard removal option is Torkoal with Rapid Spin, that's kind of the reason why I wish I had considered that other move, holding on to Drampa. So I would have still had Drampa and Duraludon. I would have had dual dragon types, and I could have just had Drampa as a backup hazard removal option if I needed it. Either way, these are very minor moves. They're not radically changing the composition of my team. So this is what we got now, and now I'm going to cut to the week 7 battle. Okay, here's our battle against JustKurt. We were actually supposed to initially be playing against Odds, but he dropped. JustKurt is taking over for him. He retained the exact same roster as Odds had. So our team, here we go, Sandaconda. Sandaconda was a dedicated Stealth Rocks lead. So you know what? I'm just gonna start the game and explain things as I go. Sandaconda was always going to be the lead because I think it's very important to design leads that match up well against Darmanitan when you're going up against one, because Darmanitan is just such an easy lead. Like most of the time it's gonna run Scarf and just be hit like a truck with Flare Blitz. So you want to lead with something that discourages him from clicking Flare Blitz and instead encourages him to U-turn out. So he doesn't know that I'm going for Stealth Rocks. He doesn't know, like, he has to respect the fact that I could just Gigantamax turn 1, click Sandblast, and kill this thing. So, like, his play is to U-turn out 100%. And I do have Sandspit this week because you'll notice I'm not bringing Torkoal for the first time this season. So I felt like I knew I was leading this with this thing, so Sandspit was pretty safe, and it would just help chip down stuff on his team, like such as it would chip down the Grimmsnarl, it would chip down the Necrozma, and in fact it would actually nerf Necrozma's recovery if it wanted to come in and just try to stall out my G-Max turns, for example. So Sandspit, he's U-turning out, goes into the Steelix, and I was very happy to see the Steelix come in. I know that he's probably going to want to set up his rocks, but I'm just going to G-Max up right away, because once the Steelix is gone, my Mimikyu is looking really nice in this matchup. So Sandblast, even without any physical attack investment, is going to 2-hit KO this thing. He is trapped in now by Sand Tomb, so he can't switch out. And the Steelix is going to go down. All it does is get up rocks, and I have one more turn of Gigantamax left. Grimmsnarl does come in to set up the Reflect. That's okay. I'm going to get some damage off with the Sandblast. He's going to get chipped by the Sandstorm and the Sand Tomb, and my Gigantamax is going to end. And look at that, he's already below 50%. Now, one of the key things to note here is the fact that I'm playing on Showdown instead of Wi-Fi means that Sandaconda's G-Max move works differently than it would on Wi-Fi. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to switch Sandaconda out here, and the first thing that you see is the message: the opposing It's Grim was freed from G-Max Sandblast. And in Wi-Fi, Grimmsnarl would not be freed from G-Max Sandblast. It would actually still be trapped even after I switch Sandaconda out. And if you want proof, I have linked Vepsis' video in my description. Vepsis' video against me, the Week 3 battle, where my Sandaconda trapped his Orbeetle with G-Max Sandblast, and then I switched out Sandaconda into Torkoal, and he still could not switch out his Orbeetle after my Torkoal replaced Sandaconda. So I would have much rather the Grimmsnarl stayed trapped so that I could just kill it with whatever I went into here. I probably should have gone into my Venusaur, but I made the misplay of going into my Copperajah instead. He goes for Darkest Lariat, but I have quite a bit of defense investment, so I can take hits from this. And then he's going to go for a Drain Punch, which is not going to be enough to kill me, but he gets a good chunk of recovery, and I'm going to break his screen away, which is kind of useless because he could just set it up again. He could just set it up again, and then if I KO'd him with an Iron Head or something on this turn, then he can go into whatever he wants and kill me with whatever he wants. Yeah, so I let this Copperajah get weakened when I didn't need to. I could have very easily gone into my Venusaur instead, which could have taken a hit. It could have synthesized up, and once this Grimmsnarl was in range to die to a Giga Drain, I didn't actually even have Sludge Bomb to hit this, but assuming it was still trapped and still taking residual damage, and also Drain Punch would have been not very effective, and it wouldn't have been recovering as much HP. Yeah, I should have gone into Venusaur here instead of Copperajah, but now I actually am going to save Copperajah, go into Venusaur now, basically keep Copperajah in the back as a sack, and I'll just bring in Venusaur, click Synthesis, as he is more than likely expecting me to go for a Sludge Bomb to kill this thing. But I actually get the matchup that I wanted right here. Venusaur is actually designed to take on this Duraludon because it's max specially defensive. So you can see max Steel Spike is not even 2-hit KOing me, and I can get Elite Seed up. So Duraludon's only losing like 7%. It's not losing as much as it would, but Venusaur is still getting like 12% back every turn. and I also have Black Sludge, I believe. Yeah, I have Black Sludge for extra recovery, and I have Light Screen on here, so I can set up the light screen. He's just not doing as much damage to me. I can sit here and just click Synthesis, stall out his G-Max turns pretty effectively. Although he did decide to go for a max Darkness to lower my special defense, so this is when I decide to sack off my Kavaraja on his last turn of G-Max, as he goes for another max Darkness. And because I still have my light screen up, I don't have to go right back into Venusaur. I can go into my Sandaconda, which still, even without its G-Max available to it, has a very strong matchup in this game. Like, just look at his team. Like, Toxtricity, Darmanitan, Duraludon, Steelix, 2/3 of his team weak to Earthquake. Like, Sandaconda's matchup in this game was ridiculous. So, I think I consider that a misplay, Metal Sound, because like, there's nothing stopping me from switching out into my Venusaur this turn after he lowered my special defense. So he tries to kill me with a -2, he tries to kill me with Draco after reducing my Spadef, but he actually just misses it. And right here I went for double Leech Seed, because if he stayed in, he would die to Leech Seed, and if he switched out into the Darmanitan, for example, trying to preserve the Duraludon as a sack, then I would get the Leech Seed up on the Duraludon, or excuse me, I would get the Leech Seed on the Darmanitan. And going for Synthesis there on Venusaur wouldn't have made any difference to me, because I knew that the Darmanitan was probably going to come in right here and just click Flare Blitz and kill the Venusaur no matter what. So that's why I went for the Leech Seed on that play. So now that Duraludon is down, I am perfectly fine letting him click Flare Blitz to KO my Venusaur. And now I can just bring in Sandaconda again. See, this is where the fact that he didn't get the damage on me with Duraludon to put me in range, potentially put me in range for a Darmanitan's Flare Blitz to kill me. So that's why he probably should have just attacked me instead of going for Metal Sound. But he actually decides to save the Darmanitan, and he goes into Necrozma, which I see the first Earthquake that I do to him does 37%. So it's clearly a 3-hit KO, right? So then I can go for a Glare, just to kind of scout out what he wants to do, and he just goes for the Morning Sun to heal back up to full. So I'm just going to stay in and keep clicking Earthquake against this thing, because I see that Earthquake is a 3-hit KO, and if he gets fully paralyzed on the right turn, then I might just be able to 1v1 this thing and get rid of it, and not have to worry about it not have to worry about taking it on with anything else in my team. So I go for Earthquake here, 36%, and Necrozma is paralyzed, so now I'm just going to go for another Earthquake, and the Necrozma is paralyzed again. So this Necrozma now has done absolutely nothing in this game. He turned out to be an Iron Defense stored power set, which my Calm Mind stored power Necrozma would have been able to 1v1 theoretically, as long as no crit shenanigans are happening. So against this set, I probably could have just brought in Necrozma right away, started going for Calm Minds, and just won the game. But you know, this made the game a little bit easier, and I didn't know what his Necrozma set was. I didn't know what he was going to do, but in hindsight, I could have just gone Necrozma and start setting up and win. But I'll take the Parahax, I guess. It was really shitty for Kurt though. Though that basically, in his position, basically threw away any chance that he thought that he may have had to win this game. So, yep, back-to-back pairs sucks, and the Necrozma goes down. Now he's going to go into the Darmanitan and just try to get as much damage off against this as possible. Does 62%, and I'll just KO him with an Earthquake. So Sandaconda picking up 3 kills in this game, in G-Max form against the Steelix, and in regular form against the Necrozma and the Darmanitan. And now Toxtricity can KO me with a Boon Burst, I can, he's actually Throat Spray, which is pretty interesting. So I can go into my Mimikyu now and just set up a Swords Dance, knowing that my Mimikyu is red card, and as soon as this Toxtricity attacks me, he will be forced out. He will lose his +1 special attack, and he'll just go into the Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl will almost certainly be going for Reflect. That's okay. I'll still take my +2 attack and be able to deal a ton of damage to him. So Play Rough thankfully connects, gets rid of the Grimmsnarl. And Toxtricity, last mon on the field, is going to come in. I'm going to click Phantom Force as he actually goes for Shift Gear. Because he did that and his speed is now at +2, well, I thought I was going to be able to hit him without him being able to hit me this turn and then just Shadow Sneak priority for the win, but it turns out he has Substitute. So he can go for Substitute on that turn and then the next turn KO me with Overdrive after I chip him down with Shadow Sneak. And Scarf Weavile, I actually didn't really consider the fact that this would be outspeeding a Toxtricity after Shift Gear, but the fact that Toxtricity is naturally slower than Necrozma, I know basically for a fact that this Weavile will outspeed this Toxtricity, even at +2 speed. And I can click Knock Off. He has lost his item though, and he is behind a Reflect, but I still think Knock Off will kill. But in hindsight, I probably should have clicked Foul Play because he is also at +1. He is also at +1 attack, so Foul Play should have been doing more damage than Knock Off, so this was probably a misplay on my part. But Knock Off is still enough to take out the Toxtricity, and we're going to win this game 2-0 and move to 7-0 in the APA Academy. That's just 7-0 record just blows my mind. I just can't believe how successful I've been in this league so far. It basically guarantees us a top 6 seed going into playoffs at this point. So we are all but guaranteed to be in the quarterfinals of the APA Academy, which is pretty cool. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you like this video, if you like this change of pace, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel to keep up with all of our Draft League content. We'll see you next week for Week 8 against Trogaholic and the New York Yampers. I will leave you with the scorecard for this game just to see the final stats, and yeah, see you next week.